What is up, fellas? We are back for another UFC predictions video, this time for UFC London. Edwards versus Brady. Guys, we've made it out of the Apex slop. We've got a good fight night card this weekend, fellas. This card's sick. There's a lot of awesome matchups I'm looking forward to breaking down and watching this weekend. Um, yeah, let's jump right into it. But before we do that, if you're new, subscribe. We're almost at 120. You could be my 100th, 120th soldier. Subscribe. It's free. Why not? Do it, please. Thanks. Let's jump right in. Kicking off this sick fight night card at a lightweight, Garam Kutatelidze is taking on Cowway Fernandez. This is a pretty sick fight to actually open up the card. Garam Kutatelidze coming off of a win, a hard-fought win against Jordan Vucinic, and Cowway Fernandez coming off of a win against Muhammad Yahya. Guys, I think I'm going to be going with... Wow, I just caught that line. Yeah, I'm going to be going with Garam Kutatelidze here over Cowway Fernandez. Simply just because he's faced, in my opinion, a higher level of competition, generally speaking, and he has the ability to mix it up. He's pretty well-rounded. He's got a decent enough grappling game. I think he could implement that against Cowboy Fernandez. And on the feet, he's not a bum either. Cowboy Fernandez is dangerous, though. Very dangerous striker, very creative striker. Um, which leads me to be a little bit puzzled by this betting line. A minus 425 for Garam Kutatelidze is a little bit insane. I do think he wins. I think he has more ways to win. And I think if he gets into trouble, he has that option in the back pocket to pull out and help himself stay in the fight and get the victory over a Cowboy Fernandez. Whereas if things aren't going well for Cowboy Fernandez on the feet, what does he do? Nothing really, in my opinion. So yeah, I got to be going with Garam here. I just think he's a little bit better overall. He's got a more versatile skill set. But I think this fight will be pretty fucking close on the feet, honestly. And in that, I don't think this fight should be lined at Garam, yeah, if it gets any wider, he's gonna be minus 500. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I think also just the level of calm Cowboy Fernandez has beaten in the UFC. Like Muhammad Yahya is terrible. You know what I mean? Lost to Mark Dikasi. I think Garam Kutatelidze can kind of implement a game plan similar to a Mark Dikasi, and honestly, I think Garam's a little bit better in the grappling than a Mark Dikasi. So I think he could probably get the victory here. Probably a decision. What are people picking? Oh my god. 91%, huh? I think he wins, but I think the betting line is just a little bit off for me. A little bit too rich for my bread, but I do think Grum gets the win here, probably by decision. Um yeah. Moving up to bantamweight, Calvin Lochran taking on Nathan Fletcher. This fight I've actually kind of been back and forth on. I've done tape study for this fight, and I actually watched their amateur fight back in 2018 to try and get a vibe for this one. This is going to be a really close fight. I wonder if the line has it really close. Okay, it does have it pretty close. In their first fight in the amateurs, Nathan Fletcher was able to get the W, just outworking Lochran a little bit in certain grappling positions. And that's kind of what I think he's going to do here in the rematch. But there were positions in that amateur fight where you saw Callum Lochran could have gotten the victory. He looked a little bit better on the feet, honestly. And Nathan Fletcher's a guy who sometimes I don't like him on bottom position. He does have really nice submissions though, so he can throw up a triangle. He can throw up a triangle transition into an armbar. He's creative like that with his jiu-jitsu. He's really quite talented. But Callum Lochran's a hard guy to finish. Just a brick shit house of a guy. Real stiff in the stand-up, but he does pack a little bit of pop, and he looked a little bit sharper in the stand-up recently than Nathan Fletcher. Not so much in his last fight against Jake Hadley on short notice. This loss is kind of what's putting me off of Callum Lochran. Um, he just didn't look good in this fight. And then his only UFC wins against Angel Pacheco, who's fucking terrible, honestly. Then he lost to Taylor Lapulus. I don't fault him for losing to Taylor Lapulus. Lapulus is a good fighter. Um, Overall, just a solid fighter. Nathan Fletcher, on the other hand, made his UFC debut against Ziggy Mantis Ramaska. Got a good arm triangle on him. And that's a decent win to have. Ziggy Mantis is a pretty decent fighter. Nothing crazy, but it's a solid win for your UFC debut for sure. I just think that Nathan Fletcher, whereas I think Callum Lochran is more of a more physical and powerful guy. I think Nathan Fletcher just flows a little bit better in the transitions. Colin Loughran can hit a sweep. He can hit reversals too. I just think Nathan Fletcher, based on what I've seen, is just this little bit better than Loughran in the grappling. And I think most of this fight will largely be grappling, similar to their first fight. I don't see a lot really changing from this rematch, even though it was 7 years ago. Their styles really haven't changed that much. Obviously, both guys have improved, but when you watch that fight, you see they look very similar to how they fight right now. Um, so I'm gonna go with Nathan Fletcher, slight lean. I think he's got the better submission ability. Um, I think on the feet he can hang because Callum Loughran's not exactly a god on the feet either. So I think they can be pretty tit for tat on the feet. I think both guys don't do particularly well on the bottom. I think Callum Loughran might have a little bit of an advantage at powering out of bottom position than a Nathan Fletcher would, but I think Nathan Fletcher does a little bit more with top position than a Callum Loughran would. So I'm going to go with Nathan Fletcher. I think he's live to get a submission here, but I'm going to actually predict he gets a hard fought decision similar to their first fight because I just feel like Loughran's a hard guy to finish with a submission just because of how physical, like how like stocky and strong he is frame wise. He's able to power out of a lot of pretty bad positions. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Nathan Fletcher here. Like a close decision, maybe a split decision. I think this is gonna be a competitive fight. Oh brother. Moving up to women's strawweight. Uh Shauna Banan is taking on Puja Tomar. Guys, who gives a fuck? Who cares? Now before I even break down this fight, I say this in a lot of my videos. I always say I don't give you betting advice. This is not betting advice. Don't put your money like I don't charge you money for a premium Discord to get my picks, you know what I'm saying? Don't take everything I say here with a grain of salt, but this is betting advice. I am giving you guys betting advice, okay? Do not bet this fucking fight. Don't do it. If you do, you need to go to Gamblers Anonymous. You need help. You need help. This fight is disgusting. Um, I'm going with Shauna Banan because I think Puja Tomar is terrible. I think Shauna Banan's terrible. Fuck. Fuck. She's almost minus 200. Oh, I'm going to have a schizophrenic meltdown. This fight is so bad. I gotta go with Shauna Banan, man. She's a little bit better on the feet. She throws straighter shots. Puja Tamar kind of just loops, punches, uh, looking like a sped. I can't lie. She lost to Bruna Brazil, which not a terrible loss. Taking Bruna Brazil to a decision's not that bad, I guess. Um, beat Alice Adreline in a split decision. Alice Adreline is fucking terrible, dude. And then just a couple of regional wins against some schmucks. Puja Tomar got a win over Ray and Amanda. I remember watching this fight live, and I was pretty confident that Ray and Amanda had won this fight, and Puja Tamar brutally robbed her. And I don't think Ray and Amanda is very good, so I got to go with Shauna Banan. She's got a disgusting reach advantage. I think it's like 6 inches or so. She throws straighter punches. Um, and yeah, I think that's basically all you need because I mean, Puja Tamar throws like wild looping hooks, and it's an unranked women's MMA fight. So I really doubt she's going to be able to fight her way on the inside to actually land those. I bet she just throws them at range and doesn't land anything. Now that I said that, though, she's probably going to knock her out or some shit because Shauna Banan just stands straight up. This fight is slop. This is a slop fest. I'm gonna go with Shauna Banan. Yeah, she does have a 6 inch reach advantage. Yeah, I'm gonna go with her. She throws the straighter punches. Um, she can take advantage of that reach. She's fought the better level of competition by far. Um, I say by far. It's not like Bruno Brazil's, you know, prime Daniel Cormier or anything, but you get what I'm saying. I think she'll win this fight. It'll probably be a decision. I don't know what the over is, but I would suspect over 2.5 probably lined at like minus 500. But yeah, I'm gonna go Shauna Banan by decision probably. Moving up to 185, Andre Kuliev taking on Christian Leroy Duncan. This is actually kind of a sick fight. I'm looking forward to this one. I don't want to see the line because I have a feeling it might be wide. I'm going with Christian Leroy Duncan. I just think he's got a good style, and he's now at this point, It felt like Christian Leroy Duncan debuted like fucking last week, doesn't it? But he's had 5 fights in the UFC, bro. Like he's actually been active as hell, fighting a decent level of comp. So, that experience does mean something. And I do think he has a little bit of a striking edge here. I think Andre Puliev is really good at striking, though. It's just he's not great on the back foot nearly as much, in my opinion. I think that's something Christian Leroy Duncan could take advantage of. I also like Christian Leroy Duncan's. I like his creativity up close in the clinch and kind of like that dirty boxing range. He can mix it up there very well. And he's a very hard guy to track down and find. If you don't have like a grappling skill set like a Gregory Rodriguez, it is kind of hard to pin Christian Leroy Duncan down and catch him with big shots, especially when it's not at the apex. We are in the big cage this weekend, fellas, and I think that does help Christian Leroy Duncan a little bit more than it does help Andre Puliev. But I think Puliev is really decent. Now I'm gonna go look at the line here. Don't be batshit insane. Oh my god. Yeah, it's batshit insane. This is gonna be a fight that's largely contested on the feet. In my opinion, I think maybe Christian Leroy Duncan, gun to his head, could mix it up if he wanted to, and I think it honestly might serve him well to just kind of show a takedown. Don't even really go for it. Just show it. Like get on his hips. It doesn't matter if you get or not. If you do, great. If you don't, he's going to be worried about that now, and it's going to open up your striking a little bit. But this fight's largely going to be on the feet. Puliev's better than plus 410 on the feet. He's a lot better than plus 410 on the feet. I think Christian Leroy Duncan wins because he's got a lot of experience against decent fighters, good striking, good stand-up game, very elusive, but this is not a fight where he's minus 600 on the feet. 81% picking Duncan. I do think Christian Leroy Duncan wins, but I do think maybe there is some value on an Andre Puliev at plus 410. I mean, the odds are just fucking ridiculous. These last couple of cards, the lines have just been absolutely despicable. But yeah, I'm going to go with Christian Leroy Duncan. I think this is going to be a pretty competitive kickboxing contest. I could see a finish, but I think more than likely it probably goes the distance with just Christian Leroy Duncan peppering Andre Puliev at range and probably getting a 29-28 decision. I do think this fight's going to be close, though. I can't believe that line, honestly. That's kind of stun-locked me a little bit. Moving up to heavyweight, Marcin Tybura taking on Mick Parkin, Big Mick Parkin. Now, I haven't looked at any lines, so I'm doing the line reveal for every single fight, all right? I would suspect that Marcin Tybura is probably a favorite. Or at least I feel like he should be, just based on, level of competition fought in his recent performance. But I'm going to go with Mick Parkin. I actually think Mick Parkin is a decent matchup into a Marcin Tybura because he's not one of these guys like a Tai Tuivasa or a Janata Denise that are basically just they're power strikers with absolutely zero grappling. And my problem with those guys and to a guy like Marcin Tybura is a hard guy to flatline, but you can hurt him on the feet. My thing is, if you hurt a Tybura on the feet, what you don't want to do is just go bull rushing him. Or if you knock him down, don't jump into his guard. If you're a Tybura or a Denise type, because you have no ground game. I think Mick Parkin is just he's a little bit more composed, right, in the stand-up. I think he's more patient. I don't think he's going to rush a finish over Tybura if he lands a big shot. I think he's going to stay within himself, not let himself be open to a potential grappling attack. And even if Tybura does go for a takedown, I think Mick Parkin, training with Tom Aspinall, training at that gym, I think he does have a little bit to his grappling game, at least at a surface level grappling game, where a guy like Tuivasa doesn't have one, and Janata Denise doesn't have one at all. And I think Mick Parkin is better on the feet than Tybura. He's much younger. Tybura is almost 40 now, right? Or is he 40? He's almost 40. Mick Parkin's the bigger guy. He's got a nice jab. He's got decent boxing fundamentals for a big fat guy. I think it's going to be a nice composed performance from Mick Parkin. He's not going to overextend himself. If the finish presents itself, I think Mick Parkin will get it. If it doesn't, I think he'll just coast, landing the better shots on the feet, and trying to keep himself safe in grappling exchanges. I like him as yeah, he is a dog. I like him as a dog here. I do think this line makes sense. Like I understand the line. But I'm going with Mick Parkin as a slight underdog. Um, I just I like Mick in this matchup. I think it's not that bad. Does he have a substantial reach advantage? 1 inch. I don't think that matters so much. A lot more people are picking Mick Parkin. Wow, that's kind of surprising. With man, I'm one of them, I guess. But yeah, I think Mick Parkin decision live for a TKO as well. Tybura's old. He does get wobbled a little bit. Could see it as well. Moving up to flyweight. Holy fuck, what a matchup this is, bro. Lonair Kavanaugh taking on Felipe Dos Santos. This is a sick fucking fight. I'm looking forward to this one. Both of these guys have had some sick fights in the UFC. Lonair Kavanaugh's debut was pretty exhilarating. And then he had a great fight on the Contender Series. Brutal fucking knockout of Antoine Ho. Felipe Dos Santos, you know him. Short notice debut, had a good performance against Manel Kopp. Came back, robbed Victor Altamirano. I'm not going to lie. Uh, I'm not gonna lie. Then he lost to Andre Lima, but Andre Lima's really good. You saw it last week. Andre Lima is a demon, so losing him I don't mind too much. This is going to be a competitive fight. This is a tricky one. Is Lonair Kavanaugh an insane favorite? He is a pretty big favorite. I do think he fucking wins, though, man. I do think he wins. I just think he's a little bit better on the feet. And, you know, maybe it's a kind of a recency bias, but that performance against Victor Altamirano, I really don't love that because Victor Altamirano has no chin at all to speak of. I don't love that we're going to a split, arguably robbing Victor here. I don't love that. And he did kind of get handled pretty easily by Andre Lima wherever the fight went. And I think Lonair Kavanaugh as a prospect is closer to an Andre Lima than a Felipe Dos Santos. But with that being said, I think Felipe Dos Santos is wildly dangerous in the stand-up, very fast, very explosive, good timing, could present some problems. Because Lonair Kavanaugh, although he did beat Jose Ochoa in his debut, there were some moments there where you were kind of like, ooh, I don't like that. Or, ooh, he kind of got stunned there. But Ochoa is a guy, off of my memory, who is a lot bigger than Lonair Kavanaugh. And Kavanaugh still looked damn good. Lightning fast, great timing, defensively very responsible. And he's well-rounded as well. Whereas Felipe Dos Santos, I think, isn't quite so well-rounded. I think, you know, Lonair Kavanaugh does have more ways to win this fight, in my opinion, just based on what I've seen. But this is a dangerous matchup. Felipe Dos Santos is skilled, and he comes from that shoot-to-box team. A lot of dangerous guys there. So I could see maybe a Felipe Dos Santos upset could happen, but I don't think he's going to be the guy to beat Lonair Kavanaugh quite yet. I know undefeated fighters have had a rough string this year, a really rough string this year. But I just trust Lonair Kavanaugh. I think he's a little bit more composed on the feet, and when things get wild, I think I trust him to keep himself safe and land a nice clean shot as opposed to Felipe Dos Santos, who is just kind of a whirlwind at times. I think Lonair Kavanaugh can kind of wade through the storm, pick his shots, and be a little bit more technically proficient on the feet. And if need be, could, I think, out-grapple Felipe Dos Santos a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to go with Lonair Kavanaugh. Once again, I'm going with another decision. I feel like there's a lot of decisions on this card, but that's just because I feel like a lot of these fights are very competitive. Yeah, I'm going to go with Lonair Kavanaugh decision. I think probably 29-28. I think maybe Felipe Dos Santos comes out hot, maybe gets the first round, starts fast, and then Kavanaugh kind of eases into the fight, kind of ramps it up, and just beats him with slightly more technical ability, in my opinion. Oh, fuck. Moving up to lightweight, Jai Herbert versus Chris Padilla. Guys, like I said, like I always say, not betting advice. But you would be smart to fade what I say on this prediction. Because I don't know what's going to happen here. Because I can't predict a Jai Herbert fight or a Chris Padilla fight to save my fucking life. And now they're matched up. So I don't know. I don't fucking know. Okay? This is a tricky one for me. Because whenever I think Jai Herbert's gonna lose, he wins. And whenever I think Jai Herbert's gonna win, he loses. You know what I mean? This is a problem I have. You know, he's fought a much higher level of competition than a Chris Padilla. Beat Kyle Nelson, I don't care. Draw with Ludovic Klein, decent. But Ludovic Klein's a stand-up only fighter, pretty much. He does have some grappling, but he likes to get it done on the feet. Lost to Faris Ziem. I actually don't mind that so much now because Faris Ziem has been looking incredible lately. And then beat Rolando Bedoya, who is ass. Who I was psyoped into thinking was good. Chris Padilla, on the other hand, beat Rong Zhu. Not a bad win. Not a bad win. And then beat James Lontop. Also not a bad win. I still think Lontop's a little underrated, honestly. I think he should still be in the UFC, if I'm being real. This is tricky because I've never thought Chris Padilla was that good, but I keep picking against him and he keeps winning. So this is a hard one for me. This is a hard one for me. Because Jai Herbert's chinny as fuck, except he's really fucking good in the stand-up. He's got nice striking. He's got good range management. But Chris Padilla is nice on the inside. He's got nice elbows. He's got nice clinch work. He can mix it up with the grappling a little bit. And he's the younger guy, and he's riding a lot of momentum. It's like, dude, ooh, this is a tough one. I watched tape on this, and I still can't get a read really. Because Chris Padilla, like, gun to my head, like if shit is getting grimy, I trust him. I think he's got the dog in him a little bit more than Jai Herbert. And I think in close, if we can get past the long arms and kicks of Jai Herbert, we can land nice shots on the inside in clinch range and the dirty boxing range. I also think Chris Padilla can mix it up a little bit. I think he's got a nice little submission game to him. I think he might be able to get a takedown on Jai Herbert. But it's tough, man, because Jai Herbert's fought a better level of comp. He's his only two losses in his last five were to really skilled fighters. So, and I do think he's going to be better on the feet on the outside for as long as this fight stays on the outside. And I don't know how long that's going to be because I feel like if I pick Chris Padilla, we're going to have an outside kicking fight for 3 rounds. This fight is so hard for me, man. Fuck it, dude. We'll truly know if I'm cursed. I'm going to go with Chris Padilla because he has shown me an ability to win fights that I did not think he would. I thought Lontop would beat him up on the feet. Lontop came in a little reckless. Chris Padilla got him down immediate submission. Impressive win. I thought Rong Zhu would beat on him a little bit. I was wrong. He landed a beautiful elbow and broke the orbital, I think, of Rong Zhu. And Rong Zhu just had a career best performance. So I actually think this is a pretty good fucking win. And he's being relatively active. This is going to be his third fight in about 10 months, which I like. Jai Herbert, when was the last time he's fought? 7 months ago? Yeah, a little bit more inactive, but he is a bit older. I also don't trust the Jai Herbert chin. I can never trust the Jai Herbert chin. I'm going to trust Chris Padilla as a plus 100 underdog. I think he can work his way on the inside. I think he can land elbows on the inside, where Jai Herbert is a little bit weaker in the striking. I think he can mix it up. I think he can grapple. I think he's got submissions in his game, which Jai Herbert does not have. He's not the greatest at grappling defense. He can do it, but it's not great. And if Chris Padilla loses this fight, you're gonna have to fade every single pick I do on a Chris Padilla fight. But I do think he can win this fight. He's looked good. Oh, yeah, how does he win? I didn't give a prediction. I think he can submit Jai Herbert. I think he can actually stun him on the feet. And I think if he does stun Jai Herbert on the feet, I think he would be wise to actually mix it up because Jai Herbert's a guy with mid takedown defense at the best of times, in my opinion. If he's stunned, I feel like it opens it up way more for Chris Padilla to just get him on the mat and dominate him. Maybe he can get a TKO if he gets him down or lock in a submission. I could see either or. I'm going to say Chris Padilla wins inside the distance. Moving up to, honestly, might be my favorite fight on the card. I'm not even going to lie to you. Nathaniel Wood taking on Morgan Charrier. If you guys are fans of the sport, if you guys are ball knowers, when you saw this matchup, you were like, oh yeah, this is going to be fucking sick. This is going to be a close fight. This is going to be a sick fight. I think I'm gonna go with Morgan Charrier, but I'm such a Nathaniel Wood enjoyer though. He's so technically sound. He's so good, dude. But my problem with Nathaniel Wood is, although he is technically so good, I think at featherweight, bit chinny, just a bit chinny, and I don't love that. When I feel like this fight is going to be really competitive all 3 rounds, I want to be able to trust your durability a little bit because if he gets a little wobbled by a shot by a Charrier, that could cost him a round. You know what I'm saying? Like if they're going back and forth, they're banging it out. It's a close round, and Morgan Charrier lands a good shot, and Nathaniel Wood lands a good shot. I trust Charrier to not really give a huge reaction. You know what I mean? Whereas Nathaniel Wood, I feel like I've seen him wobbled, I've seen him dropped. I don't love it so much, and I think that's largely for me what's deciding this fight. Because I think, no, gun to my head, I've said that like 4 times in this video. I think Nathaniel Wood is a little bit more technical. I think he's a little bit faster. I don't think he hits nearly as hard as a Morgan Charrier, and I don't think he's quite as durable. I also think Nathaniel Wood can be controlled on the mat by a more physical and stronger guy. You saw it actually in his fight against Daniel Pineda. He was able to be controlled on the mat all of the 3rd round. I think it was the 3rd round, which isn't a great look because Daniel Pineda's kind of washed, but he did have a great performance against Daniel Pineda outside of that 3rd round. Muhammad Niamov, although he cheated like a motherfucker, there were certain positions where he was in the grappling, kind of getting the better of Nathaniel Wood. And Morgan Charrier is a guy who's pretty well rounded. Like Chepe Mariscal is his only loss, and it was a very close, tight fight. And he was hanging with him. He was hanging. He was keeping the pace with Chepe in the stand up, in the grappling, scrambling well. He seems to be a pretty physical guy at this weight class. I feel like he's more of a natural 145er than a Nathaniel Wood, in my opinion. I think he packs a little bit more pop in his shots, and I think he's a little bit more durable. I think he's a little bit less technical, but I think the physical intangibles can make up for that because I don't think he's that much slower than a Nathaniel Wood. I think his grappling holds up well. I think he could honestly work some grappling effectively against Nathaniel Wood because although Nathaniel Wood is really technical with his takedown defense and his grappling defense, once you get him there, he does have a hard time getting back to his feet. And if you could scramble and get in that dirty clinching exchange with Chepe Mariscal and hang really well, arguably win that fight, then I trust you to do that. I think he can make this a dirty fight. I think he can get some clinch work in, maybe look for a trip or something, maybe land some big shots and get some reactions from Nathaniel Wood. He's got to make it dirty, I feel like, and I think he will because this guy's just shown an ability to do that. I'm going to slightly lean Morgan Charrier here. He is a slight favorite. Okay, I kind of suspected he would be. Wow, way more people are picking Wood. I don't hate the underdog pick, but I think Wood's live to win this fight. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. Granted, I understand Morgan Charrier hasn't really beaten anybody too great. And Nathaniel Wood's beaten Andre Fili, and didn't he get dropped like twice in this fight against Andre Fili? That's not a performance that's aging quite so well. Beat Charles Jourdain. I think Jourdain's good. Charles Rosa's horrible, and he beat Daniel Pineda. It was a good performance against Pineda, but I don't love getting controlled in the 3rd round by a 40-year-old. You know what I mean? I think in a dogfight, I think I trust Morgan Charrier just a little bit. I think this is going to be a really competitive, close fight, though. I'm so excited for this fight. I think Charrier can honestly finish. I think he can hurt Nathaniel Wood on the feet, but I think more than likely, probably ends in a decision. Mm. No, you know what? I'm going to be a little bit bold. I'm going to say Morgan Charrier gets a TKO over Nathaniel Wood. I think you can catch him with a big shot and drop him, and then just kind of follow. He's the kind of guy who'll follow him to the ground, land good ground and pound. And he probably gets stopped to like ground and pound, just throwing a bunch of shots. Maybe Nathaniel Wood's not completely out or anything like that, but the ref's just like, all right, I'm just going to stop it. That's kind of how I see this one playing out. But this is a close fight. Cannot stress enough how good this fight is. Moving up to lightweight, Jordan Vucinic taking on Chris Duncan. Guys, I'm going with Jordan Vucinic. I don't think Chris Duncan's all that great. Um, And Jordan Vucinic, I think, is honestly pretty high level. He looked great on short notice against Grum Kudzu-Lidze, dropping him on the feet. He looked so fast in that fight. He was looking great on short notice, up a weight class. Now he's got a full camp, built himself up into the weight class. I think Chris Duncan, he's a scrappy guy. He's a dog, but I think he's going to be vastly outspeeded here on the feet. He's got decent power, but he is a little bit stiff in the stand up. And Jordan Vucinic is really quite nice on the ground. Got a good jiu-jitsu game. I don't think Chris Duncan's going to submit him or anything. I don't really see Chris Duncan knocking him out. And he's coming off of a win over Balaji Oki, which, like, it's a nice win, but I don't like Balaji Oki stuck his head into a guillotine. Like, he literally go on, choke me. Like he submitted himself. So I don't really care so much about that win. I don't think Jordan Vucinic is so stupid that he's gonna let that happen to himself. Then he got destroyed by Manuel Torres. That'll happen. Yanal Eshmuz couldn't finish him after breaking his fucking arm, I think, in the first round. Omar Morales, split decision. Omar Morales is 50 years old. And Charlie Campbell, decent win. I just think Jordan Vucinic is just a better fighter. I think he's more athletic. Um, he's way faster. I think he's got honestly a better ground game. I just think, what's the line on this? Minus 345. Yeah, especially after his debut, his short notice debut. I think there's a little bit of line inflation here. I think he should probably be like a minus 200 something. But I do think he wins this fight more often than not. I think he can win this fight. I think he can finish this fight. I honestly think he can submit Chris Duncan. Kind of similar to how Manuel Torres was able to just get him down and basically just strangle him. I think Jordan Vucinic can submit Chris Duncan pretty easily. But we'll see. Chris Duncan's a dog. He is live. He is a bit chinny, though. So I could see Jordan Vucinic with his speed landing a good shot on Chris Duncan as well. But I'm going to predict submission over Chris Duncan. Moving up to the main card. Why is this on the... Oh, wait, no, this was the main card. Never mind. Oh, wait, both of these fights are on the main card. I'm a moron. I'm sorry. Moving up to women's strawweight. Molly McCann is taking on Alexia Thananara. I'm going to go with Alexia Thananara. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Thanara. Thanara looks right. I'm a bit bad with name pronunciations. You got to forgive me. I recognized, this is how I knew Alexia Thanara was going to win this fight, because I recognized her off of her Dana White's Contender Series performance. I was like, oh, she's actually kind of good. I remember that fight. The fact that she had a women's MMA fight that stuck out in my head on the Contender Series makes me feel like she can beat a Molly McCann. She's got a good grappling game. She's got a lot of submissions. Majority of her finishes are submissions. I believe she has 6. And Molly McCann, not great with the grappling defense. Molly McCann does have good power. She can throw a nice spinning elbow, and she does have some thwack on her punches. But minus 190. Who are we picking here? A lot of people are picking Thanara. Yeah, I do think she wins. She's nice on the feet, pretty technical on the feet, can push a good pace for 3 rounds, and she has a good grappling game. Got a 5-inch reach advantage as well. You know, I mean, Molly McCann got a sub over Diana Belbita. Not bad. Beat Hannah Goldie, who gives a fuck. Aaron Blanchfield destroyed her. We all expected that. Losing to Julia Stoliarenko is horrific. That's horrific. I cannot lie. And then Bruna Brazil beat her. Bruna Brazil was working the body really well. I think that's something Alexia can do as well. I also think she can mix it up if things get a little bit dicey. It is on short notice. Molly McCann was preparing for this date. Alexia was not. But I'm going to just slightly lean the younger lady. I think she's got a decent ceiling, decent enough to beat a Molly McCann at this point in her career. I think she's got the grappling game to work a submission on Molly McCann. I think she can submit her for sure. On the feet, she's pretty technical. As long as she doesn't get completely reckless and just run into a spinning back elbow or a big looping shot, I think she'll probably be fine. Yeah, I think she can win this fight. I'm actually going to predict she submits Molly McCann here as a slight favorite. I just can't trust Molly McCann with coin. You understand? You understand? I can't trust her with a prediction anymore, dude. The Stoliarenko loss has truly ruined my mind. Uh, oh fuck. Moving up to welterweight. Kevin Holland taking on Gunnar Nelson. Guys, I'm going to take off the glasses for this one. I'm going to take off the spectacles so you know I'm serious. And you know I'm candid. I am one of the biggest Kevin Holland non-believers in this sport, I feel like. And nobody believes in this guy less than me. Nobody. Every single fight here on his last 5, I have picked him to lose. Every single one. And we've been pretty successful at doing that. So know that when I tell you this, it's coming from a part of my soul. I think he beats Gunnar Nelson. I really do. I really think he beats Gunnar Nelson. That's how you know that I truly believe this. Because I would look for any opportunity to tell you that this bum's going to fucking lose. I would. Trust me. But I don't think he does, dude. I think he's got a great stylistic matchup in front of him. I know you guys are like, oh, great stylistic matchup. Gunnar Nelson's a grappler. He's a submission guy. Yes, he is. But he's also a old man, a very inactive old man, with, I believe, a 10-inch reach disadvantage, with a karate style, with a pretty questionable chin that stands up like this. Also, Kevin Holland, through my theory crafting, I have deduced that he is a far harder guy to take down and control at 170. Guys who are like 215 pounds cutting down to middleweight can throw him around. Like a Rainer de Ritter, who's fucking enormous, or a Roman Dolidze, who's a big, strong guy. You know what I mean? Like a Derek Brunson, who's a big, strong middleweight. Gunnar Nelson's not, he's not that, I don't think. And he's really fucking inactive, which I think is shitty for him. And his last 2 wins, like, you know, it says he fought a year and 11 months ago. I don't even count this as a fight because Brian Barberena, you subbed him. Who gives a fuck, dude? Kevin Holland didn't submit Brian Barberena in a grappling match easily. Brian Barberena is booty butt cheeks on the ground. And then Takashi Sato? Who cares? I'd pick Kevin Holland to fucking knock out Takashi Sato. Like, these wins, I don't give a shit about. And then at this point, we're talking about fights from fucking half a decade ago. You feel me? If there's one thing Kevin Holland has going for him, it's activity. Now, am I telling you to bet Kevin Holland? No, I would not trust Kevin Holland with a cent of my coin. Not with one single Vietnamese dong would I trust Kevin Holland with. But I do think he wins this fight because I was looking for a reason to pick Gunnar Nelson because of my deep-seated hatred for Kevin Holland. But the image just keeps playing in my head of Gunnar Nelson coming out there with that stupid karate style with his fucking pea head straight up. And Kevin Holland just goes, with a 1-2 and just sits him down. I could see it. And also, let me check. Am I crazy? No, yeah, he does have almost a 10-inch reach advantage. It's going to be hard for Gunnar Nelson to get him up against the cage and get a takedown. It's going to be hard for him to get it. If Kevin Holland comes into this fight just slightly with it, I think he beats Gunnar Nelson. And I kind of like Gunnar Nelson too. And I kind of hate to say it, but I do think he beats him. I really do. I really, really do. What are the... See? A lot of people are on Nelson because they see the grappling. I also feel like Kevin Holland's back's kind of up against the wall here. Like I know people like him and the UFC likes him, but I feel like he could be looking at getting cut here, dude. Straight up. Like, if he gets bitched again in the grappling in the first round, like, why the fuck will we be paying this guy? Because he's probably getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to show up and just get his ass beat. Like, they're going to cut this fucking guy if he loses another. So I think he needs this win. I think he needs this win. I think he knows he needs this win. I think that's why he's taking a fight at welterweight. I think these 2 fights at middleweight were him just being fucking stupid and not wanting to train super hard. Honestly, I think he's a much better fighter at welterweight. I think he's got the frame, the athleticism, the speed. the power to put it on a Gunnar Nelson who doesn't have the strength really or the physicality of a guy like a Delidze or a guy like a Rainer de Ritter to just absolutely muscle fuck Kevin Holland around. I think it's going to be harder to do at welterweight. And I actually am going with Kevin Holland as a plus 125 underdog. Like, trust me. I want to pick against him. But I just see him catching Gunnar Nelson right on the fucking chin. And his last two wins are against absolute schmuck bums. And then before that, he hasn't fought in 5 years, technically. And he's old. And he's fucking old. I don't, this is a gross fight. I'm going with Kevin Holland. I think he sleeps Gunnar Nelson. Honestly, I do. Moving up to the co-main event at light heavyweight, Jan Blachowicz taking on Carlos Ulberg. Guys, it is with a heavy, heavy heart that I tell you that I have to go against Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz is my dog. He is my slime. I have picked Jan Blachowicz. Oh my god. It always jump scares me when I see how old Jan Blachowicz is. Holy shit, man. I'm a big Jan Blachowicz fan. So it hurts me to do this. But he's 42 years old. He hasn't fought in 2 years? Basically 2 years. He's coming off of a double shoulder surgery. I just can't pick him right now. I can't. Like, if in a hypothetical world, maybe Jan Blachowicz got like a fight in the last 2 years, maybe it was like a close decision or something. He was a little bit active. I could see because I could see a fraud check. Oh, I could see it. But right now, I just feel like I like it's not like Carlos Ulberg's this young guy either, but I just think the big cage, Carlos Ulberg's very fast. I think you can kind of play the outside kickboxing game against the Jan Blachowicz. And I know people are like, oh, Jan Blachowicz beat Izzy. He beat all these good guys. It's true, but it's just, I can't rely on Jan Blachowicz showing up for this fight off of a 2 year layoff, a double shoulder surgery at 42 years old, and looking like prime Jan. Well, not even prime Jan, really. Looking like the Jan Blachowicz of old. I would love to see it. I hope he wins. I really do. I hope Jan wins. I love Jan Blachowicz. I picked him to beat Dominic Reyes, you know? I picked him to beat Corey Anderson back in the fucking day. I picked him to beat Adesanya back in the fucking day. I'm a Jan Blachowicz believer and an enjoyer. But there's something to be said about the activity for Ulberg helping him out here. You know, Alonzo Minifield ran himself into a punch like a retard, so I don't really care about that one. Beat Dao Jung, submitted him in a like. See, he's been getting these fights in while Jan Blachowicz has been out. Like Dao Jung is not a crazy great fighter, but he's solid. Like he's big, powerful, he's strong. He can give guys problems. So going a hard 3 rounds against this guy and getting a submission, there's value to that in a guy who's young in his career. You know, facing a dangerous power puncher like Alonzo Minifield and getting a TKO super fast. It's not super beneficial as far as his experience goes, but it is beneficial at building momentum and building confidence in a young guy. Then this is the fight where it's like, if he did not have this fight on his record, I would not pick him to beat Jan Blachowicz, I don't think. Took Volkan Oezdemir, who's been a staple of this division for a very long time. Dangerous guy, big power puncher. Strong guy with the grappling as well. Grappling defense more so, but he's a big, strong guy. You can't really do much with him. And he will hang tough for all 3 rounds. And he is dangerous. Getting a nice 3 round win over him, I think, is good for a guy like Carlos Ulberg. And I think, honestly, I know Jan Blachowicz and Volkan Oezdemir don't fight particularly similar, but I think you can implement a similar game plan against Jan Blachowicz that he did against Oezdemir. Now he's gonna need to be a lot more respectful of Jan Blachowicz's low kicks. Jan Blachowicz has low kicks like you would not believe. He will throw them to clatter his shin into yours. So you need to be elusive and you need to be ready to check that, or else he could honestly stifle Ulberg's movement and then land a big shot. But I think Ulberg's just gonna be a little bit too fast. I think he's gonna be fighting on the outside a little bit in the big cage. I'm going to trust him here. If this was 5 rounds, like a 5 round fight night main event, then we could be talking. I just feel like the momentum, the activity, getting a win in against a staple of the top 10, who's another dangerous striker, strong guy as well, big guy as well. And then Jan Blachowicz has all of these intangibles that are against him, you know? I just can't trust Jan to show up looking at his peak. If he does, I'm happy because I love Jan Blachowicz. If there's a fight pick I get wrong, I hope it's this one. I really fucking do. Um, but I just see Oldberg outstriking him a little bit. Fans are kind of split on this one. I just see Oldberg being a little bit faster, putting more out there to be scored, and starting faster too. I don't know how fast Jan Blachowicz is going to start. I don't know how rusty he's going to look. So yeah, I got to go with Oldberg. I know how Oldberg is going to come out here and look. Right now, Jan Blachowicz is a big question mark for me, so I can't pick him to win. Could he win? Of course. But I'm going to go with Carlos Oldberg. I think he's probably going to get a decision win here. I think he's going to play it safe, honestly, for 3 rounds and just get himself this victory. Yeah. Moving up to the main event, Leon Edwards taking on Sean Brady at welterweight. Fellas, I am torn on this matchup. Well, not really. I know who I want to pick. I know who I'm going to pick, I think. What's the line? Yeah. 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 Guys, I think I'm going with Leon Edwards here to beat Sean Brady. And I know, everybody's like, oh, but Leon got dominated by Bilal. It was a 48-47. I watched that fight back today. It was a 48-47. My problem with Leon Edwards, and it's been the problem I've had with him basically since he's been fighting, is that he does not let himself get out of first gear very often. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of my problem with him. He kind of is too patient. He's kind of too point fighty. You know what I mean? But then you see moments where he gets out of first gear. And he almost finishes Bilal Muhammad in a fight where he was losing pretty handedly. Splits open his face, busts his nose with like fucking 20 seconds left in the fight. And you're like, why aren't we doing this earlier? My thing is, I don't think Sean Brady beats him just because he's a grappler. Like, that's, I think, why a lot of people are picking Sean Brady. And I feel like there's some recency bias here, in my opinion, because Leon Edwards lost to Bilal Muhammad, who's a grappler. Like, we didn't watch Sean Brady get standing TKO'd by Bilal Muhammad. Guys, I don't know if I would get standing TKO'd by Bilal Muhammad. You know what I mean? I don't love that. And I've seen Sean Brady in some fights, in some moments where I don't love how he looked. And maybe that's just something like a bad habit I have, because sometimes when I see certain fighters in compromising positions, those are the moments that stick out in my head when I break down their fights. And there's a couple with Sean Brady for me. I did not love his fight against Michael Chiesa. I did not love how hard he gassed in that fight. Now, he showed me since then that he can hang for 5 rounds, which is good. But he can hang for 5 rounds when everything is going his way. You know what I mean? Against a smaller guy in Gilbert Burns, who's a little bit older, who's coming off of an injury. You know what I mean? He beat Kelvin Gastelum. And this is the thing. I didn't think he beat Gastelum, but he looked damn good against Kelvin. Granted, the last fight I had to go off of was this absolute pissingly horrible, tragic performance. See, this is why it's tight for me. Because Leon's a guy, if he's on, he's beating Sean Brady. Because Leon, just because you grapple, you don't beat Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards has been getting ready for grapplers who want to take him down for like the last fucking 6 years. He was getting ready for Hamzat multiple times. He was getting ready for Usman a bunch of times. He got ready for Covington, got ready for Bilal. Like, this guy, takedown defense should be ingrained in this fucking kid's head by now, I would think. Beat Covington, very boring performance, but this is one of those performances where Colby wasn't doing anything and Leon didn't have to get out of first gear and he was able to just point and fight and win. Beat Usman handedly here. Looked way better than Usman here in their third matchup, which is a good win, I think. Was down tremendously here against Kamaru Usman. You guys all know the moment. Viral head kick knockout. Then the Nate Diaz performance I don't love. And another thing with Leon is he is a bit chinny. He is a bit chinny. He does get stunned. Sean Brady is a pretty powerful guy. His striking is not great, but the takedown could set up some shots in the feet. I'm almost talking myself into a Sean Brady pick here. I am very torn on this fight. I think this is going to be I think this is going to be a good fight. But I think if this fight here did not happen, I think Leon would be like minus 200. I think there's just a little bit of line overcorrection here with this loss to Bilal. Also, there's something to be said about, like, Leon looked particularly flat for this fight against Bilal. Did anybody else think that? Watching that back, he looked very off, in my opinion. And I think it honestly, I know it sounds like an insane cope, but I do think it could be something to do with them fighting at like 5 a.m. his time. I'm going to go with Leon Edwards. I think Sean Brady's got a fair shake at winning. His boxing come along a little bit. His grappling is obviously very good. But I think this is a tough matchup on short notice. It's a tough ask for 5 rounds against Leon Edwards on short notice in his hometown. Right, in his hometown, in his home country. You get what I'm saying? And Leon, he's always ready for wrestlers because they just match him up with wrestlers. Like, he was matched up to fight Chimaev like fucking 4 times. Matched up to fight Usman a bunch of times. Matched up to fight Bilal. Matched up to fight Covington. If Leon Edwards is on, and he allows himself to get out of that first gear at any moment in this fight, I think he is a better fighter than Sean Brady. But Sean Brady's consistent. If Leon Edwards comes out, he looks flat, he can't get out of first gear, Sean Brady will beat him. If Leon Edwards comes out dialed, I think he beats Sean Brady. It's a close fight, and I understand why the lines are this close, and I do kind of understand why Sean Brady's the favorite here, just due to a little bit of recency bias. But I'm going to go with Leon Edwards, man, as an underdog. I think there's value on Leon at plus 125. I mean, he's a former champion, fought a bunch of former champions. Despite losing to Bilal, there was only 1 round separating that fight. Yeah, I'm going to go with Leon Edwards. I think this is going to be a pretty tightly contested contest. I could see Leon Edwards winning a decision here. I could honestly also see him getting a TKO over Sean Brady. Because I know it hasn't happened again, but if Bilal Muhammad's able to catch you and stun you, I think anyone in the division is capable of it. Not to be disrespectful, but I think it's possible. Like, I think Leon Edwards could put something on Brady's chin that could potentially stun him or hurt him. And I think Leon Edwards is just a much better striker on the feet. Yeah, that's my prediction. I'm going with Leon Edwards, potentially late TKO or decision over Sean Brady. Yeah, that's it for this fight card, fellas. Thank you guys so much for watching. I feel like this video was like an hour, but I'm really excited about this card. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you to anybody who subscribes. I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.